President of UPA, and I had the privilege of hearing you when you were running for your first term, speaking at the Japanese Cultural Center on higher education issues. And one of the things you said at that time was your commitment to seeing an end or a reform in the issue of temporary hire across our state system.
Yes.
I know that this past several years, the requirements of our budget have been paramount, but now that seems to be somewhat under control.
Yes,
Is there,
it is under control.
Now that that's under control, where does your commitment to ending the long practice of emergency and temporary hire in the state system stand?
I think where it stands is I need a group of regents that are going to affect policies that'll end that, and to maximize our opportunity to get good faculty, and then a legislature that'll respond to it.
Yeah, but not just in the university system, but other state agencies as well.
Oh.
It's the temporary hire thing.
Oh yeah, well
runs
that's being ended right now. My first commitment was to restore positions that were the agricultural inspectors, extension agents out of the College of Tropical Agriculture, Maria Gallo's shop, across the board, to try and do that, to restore positions. Now, the next thing, one of the things that should be done is restore positions in the university. If you're down to 6 from 5, if you're down to 6 faculty from 11, that's one of the things that has to be on the priority list. But that has to come out of the university too. And the reason for that is that there's a deteriorating relationship. This relationship has been so deteriorated over time. When I was the higher ed chair, I'm risking. I don't want to go into nostalgia, but I'm just giving. I'm speaking to you not out of nostalgic reasons, but out of hard-nosed practical realities of what's just being discussed here. Fudge Matsuda, when he was president, had very little in the way of systems people and all that kind of stuff. When you had a chancellor and you had a president and all that, they were in touch with me at the legislature. We worked hand in hand. I put together a budget. I went to talk to Fudge. I talked to Harold Matsumoto, who was, his gray eminence at the time, his chief of staff, and so on. I talked to the faculty reps and so on, and we helped put together a budget that I could present that pretty much was agreed upon. That doesn't exist anymore. Only thing ever happened now when I tried to put the university together, we got autonomy. Oh, okay, well, we're going to do this through tuition. Well, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, who cares what you think? Okay, I guess you don't need my help then. Because I can't help you do that. I'm against that. What I'm driving at is that we need to work a lot closer together. This autonomy, and I need to have some regents that are going to understand that. That we need to have a cooperative orientation towards getting a restoration of funding, particularly for faculty to get started. Look, I ran for president of the university one time. Maybe you don't know that. Back in 1986, I actually ran for president. It was open. I said, what the hell, I'll run for it. They said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'd like to be president. I made T-shirts up. And I was a politician. I went down to registration and walked up and down the registration line and said, did you ever see a president before? They said, no. I said, well, make me the president, and then you'll see me, and I'll help you with this registration stuff. All the rest of it. The regents told me at the time, I put my name in, and I did not get interviewed for it. And one of the regents told me at the time, we voted not to interview you. And I said, well, why would you like to know? I said, sure, I'd like to know. He said, everybody was afraid you'd do what you said. I'm serious. Everybody's afraid you'd do what you said. One of the things I said is get rid of this systems. I said, this systems is gobbling up millions of dollars. It doesn't do any teaching. It doesn't do any research. It preempts a lot of things. And I said, I'll take the money from the, and I said, I said, I'll take the money that you have right now, not ask you for a dime more, and come back in 2 years, and I'll have more teaching and more research being done and more grants coming in than I did when I came in as president. Or, oh, you won't have to fire me, I'll quit. They said, how are you going to do that? I said, I'm going to reinvest it. Well, I said, the first thing I'm going to do is increase travel grants for the faculty. And then I'm serious. Because faculty are entrepreneurs. Faculty go out and pay for themselves and get a whole bunch of extra money in too, for which I can take credit. And I'm serious about it right now. One of the things I said, invest in the faculty. Do that. The faculty will not only pay for itself, it's going to increase the capacity of the university. It's a damn good investment. When my friend Marty Meehan left the Congress of the United States from Massachusetts to become chancellor of the University of Massachusetts Lowell, he said, Neil, what am I going to do? Everybody's suspicious of me. I'm a politician. I'm coming in to be the chancellor. I said, go to the faculty and turn them loose. I said, they're going to make you look like a champ, which is exactly what he did. They love him, by the way, because he goes out and says, go out and multiply, right? And then he goes to the business people and so on and says, support these guys. They're terrific. They're the best business entrepreneurs I know. And that's what I think needs to be done now. I want to see a situation where the governor and the legislature to help the faculty to turn itself loose, and that the university reorganizes itself to take maximum advantage of it. That's what you got faculty senates for. That's what you got department chairs and so on. Put those sergeant majors in the HGEA to work, and then take all the department heads and deans and say, okay, what's the game plan? And then turn you loose. Why the hell have all these committees if they're not going to, and all these faculty groups and representatives and resolutions and everything, if it's all some kind of a big sideline circular thing going nowhere? I'd take advantage of it. I think that if I had my way, I want to get a group of regents in there. They're going to turn to the faculty and say, go to it. And I think that if we do that and we cut out a lot of this extraneous administration, we would not only have more money immediately right there, but we'd start getting dividends from that. Now, I'm not saying that just rhetorically. If you're going to have chancellors, for example, then have them. Put the chancellor in charge of it. If you don't want chancellors, then get rid of them. I'm serious. If you're going to have them and let them do their job. You know, you would not have, let me put it this way, you would never have had this fiasco with the Stevie Wonder concert, which was good motivation. Let's do this. It's great. It was a good idea. But you would never had that difficulty if you'd had an attorney general overseeing the legal side of it. If you'd had a budget and finance department overseeing it with a deputy there, that's all for advice. It just wouldn't have happened. But what you had was a bunch of people in there that, it all got kicked upstairs somewhere. All those people are still around, and the people who weren't at fault all got kicked out. I'm serious. You know that. Does anybody not understand that? So I'm saying that if you're going to have a governance system in a university in which intellectual freedom and the capacity to pursue knowledge is paramount, then you have to have an administrative system which reflects that and understands it, and then utilizes it and holds it to account. And that's what peer review is all about. I participated in that. I understand what promotions are about. I understand community service. I understand research. I understand teaching capacity, and I understand that it has to be decided on a pretty rigorous basis. Well, the same thing in terms of administration. I'm going to be judged on it.